College in the United States is expensive, far too expensive, prohibitively with profound knock-on effects, expensive. High school students, usually age 17 or 18 years old, are pressured to commit to spending anywhere from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to get a better chance at living the careers and lives of their dreams. If the school you're considering attending or currently attending as an undergraduate is the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, I'd like to try and make this process a little less opaque and frightening. I'll give an overview of key resources and information. This is not a comprehensive guide, but I hope it's a useful introduction. Feel free to use the video chapters to navigate. Part 1. Tuition at the U. Here is the exact breakdown of attendance costs for the 2024-25 school year at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. The base annual cost, excluding variable expenses like housing, food, supplies, and transportation, is $17,520 for students from Minnesota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Manitoba, and is $38,668 for out-of-state students. The final prices are larger, estimated to be $34,576 and $57,224, respectively. It should be noted that apartments and other forms of off-campus residency will almost always be cheaper than the housing estimate provided here, which comes from costlier on-campus housing, and also that most majors shouldn't require anywhere near $1,000 worth of books and supplies each year. These tuition costs are a 4.5% increase from 2023 to 24. The university increases tuition on average by between 2 and 3% each year. Part 2. FAFSA. In order to receive financial aid, students must complete the FAFSA. University, state, and federal aid cannot be accessed without this form. I cannot stress enough how important it is to do this. To do so, you can follow the steps on Federal Student Aid's filling out the FAFSA form page, which I'll summarize here. First, create a studentaid.gov account. Every contributor who is required to provide information on your FAFSA form will have to complete this step. Those with a social security number will be required to provide it. During the session in which you complete the form, you will need the following information. Quote, your parents' SSNs, if they have SSNs and you're a dependent student, tax returns, records of child support received, current balances of cash, savings, and checking accounts, net worth of investments, businesses, and farms. End quote. When submitting your FAFSA, you must list schools that will receive your information. This list can contain up to 20 schools. If you are a Minnesota resident, quote, you must list an eligible in-state college to be considered for state grant aid, end quote. The order of the schools on the list doesn't matter for Minnesota state aid programs. If your family's financial aid situation has changed significantly from what is reflected on your federal tax return, you may be eligible to have your financial aid adjusted. For this to happen, you must contact the university and discuss how your financial situation has changed. Visit the university's appeals page to learn more about this process. Submit your FAFSA by your state's deadlines. Minnesota's is June 30th, 2025 for the 2024-25 school year, which was delayed. So I'm not sure what this deadline will be going forward. Just be sure to keep an eye on it. Part 3. Financial aid offers. This is an important moment to note that I am not a financial expert. Please look into these sources further on your own and consult with counselors before making major decisions. U of M's One Stop is, as the name suggests, a one-stop shop for financial aid advice. I urge you to consider seeking out their services. After submitting the FAFSA, all students will receive a financial aid offer that is made up of some combination of the following. Direct subsidized loans. These federal loans are unique in that while a student is enrolled and pursuing their degree full-time, interest is paid by the U.S. Department of Education. The interest rate on these loans is 6.53%. Direct unsubsidized loans, another federal loan, although in this case interest does accumulate while you're in college. If you have the choice between taking these on and taking on subsidized loans, accept the subsidized funding first. If you do not need a loan, if say you're offered $4,000 to cover housing and you know you can afford to pay that much directly for your rent out of pocket over the year, accepting this sort of unsubsidized loan will just cause you to have to pay extra money. The interest rate on these is currently 8.08%. For both federal loans, you do not need to start making loan repayments until 6 months after you graduate, leave school, or drop below half-time enrollment. Work-study funds. Work-study funds are a way of helping students secure on-campus student jobs. There are many jobs at the U that only hire work-study students. These funds do not guarantee a job. Per One Stop, quote, You must first apply for the position, be offered the position, and accept the position, end quote. The amount you receive represents how much of your wages are covered by this financial aid. If you received $3,000 of work-study funds, that does not mean you're transferred $3,000. It means that work-study student employers do not have to draw from their own budgets for the first $3,000 you earn while working for them. Essentially, this financial aid makes it easier for you to get on-campus jobs. Direct Plus loans, a type of loan where parents borrow money for their dependent undergraduate students or for eligible graduate or professional students. These currently have an interest rate of 9.08%. The maximum amount parents can borrow is the cost of attendance at the school minus the financial assistance the student already receives. Payments do not need to be made while the student is enrolled or for the first 6 months after they leave school. Part 4. University-wide scholarships. Loans are essentially a stopgap, allowing you to go to college if you cannot afford the full price of tuition, but ensuring you will possibly graduate with massive fees to pay, likely inflated by interest. Even if you find a good job, after college, loans may weigh you down for some time. Research from the Education Data Initiative shows that for the average projected student loan debt, someone paying 10% of the typical gross income for recent bachelor's graduates would have to spend 7.5 years paying off their debt. And because of interest, they'd be paying $8,389 on top of the amount they had already loaned. Additionally, quote, 21% of borrowers see their total student loan debt balance increase in the first 5 years of their loan, end quote. All of which is to say that whittling away at the amount of loans you owe is always a good move, and scholarships are quite possibly the best way to do so. There are some scholarships available to all University of Minnesota students. I highly recommend using the Undergraduate Scholarship Search, which uses your student profile to share all university-affiliated scholarships you may be eligible for. I only discovered this while researching this video and am very upset with myself that I didn't find it sooner. In addition to that search tool, the university has a great webpage that lists all university-wide scholarships and all university-wide need-based academic scholarships. And for folks from diverse identity groups, consider visiting this page, currently titled Our Communities, for identity-specific resources, including some scholarship opportunities. Recent legislation has meant there are especially a lot of grants and scholarships currently available for American Indian and Indigenous students. The Native American Promise Tuition Program, for example, guarantees that 100% of tuition will be covered for enrolled citizens of one of the 11 federally recognized tribal nations in Minnesota with annual family income less than $125,000. Part 5. Major/college/program-specific assistance. A good rule of thumb for scholarships is that the more detailed their requirements and the more precise a fit they are for your goals, achievements, and aspects of your identity, the better. The following scholarships will usually have less competition than large external or university-wide ones. College-specific. There are plenty of scholarships that are available within certain colleges. This page highlights some of them, although you will also likely find out about additional scholarships through emails from your college. Be sure to keep an eye on those. Colleges often also offer experience-specific scholarships. The CLA, for example, has scholarships available for students with unpaid internships and for those studying abroad. Honors-specific. There are further scholarships available for students in the University Honors Program. Admittedly, only a handful of these are given out each year, but there are a few with more specific criteria where those eligible might have a better chance of receiving them. Major-specific. Once you've decided on a major, pay close attention to its specific scholarships. There will be a smaller pool of applicants for these than just about any other type of scholarship, so these are really worth putting time and effort into. There are also many scholarships where it can be very important to have strong connections with at least a couple of your department's instructors, as letters of recommendation are a common application requirement for these. To learn about a specific department's financial aid, visit their website, go to the undergraduate section, and select the Scholarships and Grants or Scholarships and Awards tab. For an example of what these look like, here's the English department's page, which contains a mixture of scholarships available to all English majors who apply, and some that require extra qualifications and extra application material. Hey everyone, apologies for the lower audio quality and lack of video in the next couple sections. I did not record those properly the first time and am now making do without my usual equipment. Thank you for your patience. Part 6. External aid and scams. There are also a wide range of scholarships available to all students that are offered by outside organizations. A couple that I've looked into include Dollars for Scholars, a program that has awarded $300,000 to Minnesota high school graduates and which helps connect students to other scholarship opportunities. There's also the National Merit Scholarship. For anyone still in high school or with family or friends in high school, please consider looking into this. To enter, all you have to do is take the PSAT/NMSQT during high school and score high enough. The National Merit themselves give scholarships, and National Merit finalists are eligible for the University of Minnesota's Gold Scholar Award, which can be up to $10,000 each year for 4 years. For both external loans and external scholarships, you need to be careful about scams. The Federal Trade Commission has a webpage listing common scams, including financial aid scams where entities offer to fill out your FAFSA. This can lose you money and result in fines and or jail time. Scholarship scams. You should never have to pay to apply for a scholarship. Some companies require payments to apply, and these are not worth interacting with. Other red flags include a company offering you a scholarship you never applied for, and scholarships that promise a guaranteed award. Also, not necessarily a scam per se, but there's a whole genre of no essay scholarships that, as US News explains, are sweepstakes, meant to attract a high amount of entries, making the chances of winning slim to none. This is, of course, just a brief summary of the possible exploitative aid programs out there. Please be sure to do careful research before committing yourself to a loan or handing over important individual information. If in doubt, consult with your high school counselors or university's financial aid office, which, again, at the University of Minnesota is one stop. Part 7. Alternatives to four-year college. This is a section that really deserves its own video, and if there's interest in that, I'd absolutely be happy to put one together and give it the amount of research that it deserves. But it feels worth acknowledging that college can be a massive financial risk. If the resources covered in this video don't seem like they'll be enough to leave you with a level of student debt you're comfortable with after 4 years, it's completely reasonable to consider other options. For certain careers, college is essentially mandatory, but for many, it is not the be-all and end-all, and there are many alternate paths. These include gap semesters or gap years. You can take time to learn more about different academic and career fields and get a better feel for what you want to do while working and earning money to help pay for college. Community colleges, a cost-effective way to complete the first 2 years of your bachelor's degree. The university works with 7 public 2-year campuses across Minnesota. Upon enrolling in the Minnesota Cooperative Admissions Program, you'll be guaranteed transfer admission into a participating U of M major if you meet certain grade and class requirements. Vocational school. These institutions teach specific skills for specific industries. Technical colleges have more of a classroom element, while trade schools are more hands-on. Both can lead to strong career opportunities and tend to take 1 or 2 years to complete. Online colleges. I didn't find a ton of information about these, which can be a field where scams and misinformation can run rampant. Research shows that 69% of schools charge approximately the same tuition and fees for online and on-campus programs, though some may be cheaper. Be wary of for-profit online schools with fanciful promises and very costly tuition. Make sure the school is properly accredited and actually helps its students. Coding boot camps, which are very popular right now and not especially well regulated, so again, be sure to do careful research into these. These tend to take between 20 and 24 weeks and cost an average of around $9,500. A Forbes survey found that 31% of boot camp graduates secure jobs within 3 months, while 90% are satisfied with their programs. Part 8. Conclusion. And that's all. I hope this overview has been helpful, and would like to give one last reminder that it is just an overview. Please do further research before making major decisions. Please comment with any questions, additional resources, or ideas for future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.